There has been a lot of discussion about zombie corporations, uh, and that this is a big concern. A lot of people don't understand exactly what a zombie company is or why it should concern you. So let's go into that. First of all, the definition of a zombie company is a corporation that is barely able to pay its own debts. Uh, in some cases, these companies can barely or cannot pay the interest on the debts that they have amassed. And yet, many of these corporations pay out stock dividends. How does this work? And it is estimated, well, in 2020, it was estimated that 20% of the stock market is comprised of zombie corporations. You think about that, 1 in 5. We're not talking about small startups, though there are a number of like startup companies that actually, were created for the purpose of merely their stock, and they don't produce anything at all. Not even, Netflix or anything like that. But a lot of these are huge names, and Netflix is one of them. That is a zombie corporation. So is Macy's and ExxonMobil. All of the major American airlines are zombie corporations. So it's obvious that not all of these are brand new companies, startups, or small businesses, small corporations. So how does a company become a zombie corporation? Well, part of this goes into why I have said that we need to end the stock market, convert all stocks into bonds. So I will link to that video in the description below. All right, so when a company issues stock, the reason that they issue stock is to raise capital, money, operating expenses. But once they issue that stock does not result in any further income for that company. The stock does not offer any income, period, after the initial sale, unless once the stock starts performing and then starts to decline, they buy back their own stock. Well, this runs into a problem. If they use their own cash reserves or their profits to buy back that stock, then they have to issue a statement to their shareholders that they have exhausted their reserves and they just don't have anything. All right, so the stockholders are going to sell off their stock and the value of the stock plummets, which can close the company, which it shouldn't. The value of the stock should be, basically, it should have no effect on whether a company continues to operate. It shouldn't, but it does, because the shareholders want to get paid. Now, if they were bonds, maybe that's a different thing. But with stocks, they continue to get paid and paid and paid. Anyway, so what they do is they take out a loan. And this is why it has been a concern for the low interest rates, at or near 0%. This has allowed these companies to take out huge loans, driving up their debt. So the debt does not directly impact what they claim to be a profit. So they pay out dividends based on their profit, but they still have this massive debt, which can even exceed the value of the company itself. And this is for real. This is a thing. All right, so the Federal Reserve has not only propped up the value of these stocks by keeping interest rates low, allowing these companies to take out these massive loans. In addition, the Federal Reserve has directly purchased junk bonds, which are bonds that are issued by zombie corporations. It's highly unlikely that these bonds will ever be paid out. And so who takes on that debt? The Federal Reserve does. And what does that mean? That means that you and I take on that debt. So this is what is leading to the massive turmoil in the stock market right now, making it extremely volatile, because the Federal Reserve has announced that in March they are going to completely cease buying up assets, and they are going to increase the core interest rate. So it's probably not going to be by much. Some people are saying 0.5%. I'm guessing it's more likely, if they're, I think it's more likely it'll be 0.25%, 0.25. But that will be enough to discourage these companies from taking out these massive loans, but the companies are still going to owe on the loans that they've got. And they can't take out more debt. Their shareholders are still going to want to get paid. So what happens at that point? Well, the companies that don't produce anything, if they can't take out more loans to buy back more stock, then their stock is going to plummet as people sell off these stocks. They're not going to get dividends. There are no earnings. So if a stock plateaus at a certain point, and I've been pointing this out for a very long time, why do people invest in stocks? They either invest in stock to get paid dividends, or they look at the performance of the stock, not the performance of the company. They look at the performance of the stock. These are speculators that buy and sell stocks frequently, and that is the majority of the stock market, are speculators. So they make stock by buying low and selling high. Once you plateau, it's not going to go any higher. So if your stock value is not going to go up, you've already made your profit, so you're going to sell it. And so multiply that times billions of stock all at once. And that's what's coming. And it's going to start in March. But the Federal Reserve is planning on several increases in the interest rate this year. So with each interest rate increase, we're going to see this compound. So why is that a concern for you? Well, first of all, if you've got money in a retirement account, well, it's probably invested in, with 20% of the market being zombie corporations, well, what happens to the stock that your retirement account is invested in? Because that's how retirement accounts work. Or, you know, it doesn't matter. Your IRA, your 401k, etc. Then, you know, even if you are invested directly in a company, did you look at the earnings of the company or did you look at the value of the stock? Most likely, you looked at the value of the stock and if it paid dividends, etc., whether you could sell it at a profit later. That you did the exact same thing if you invested directly. But your retirement account did the exact same thing. So when this happens, stockholders still want to get paid. So what does a company do? They start laying people off in massive numbers. They're not making a profit to pay the shareholders, so they're going to reduce their workforce to reduce cost. That means that people get laid off, huge numbers. I pointed out before in 2018, during the State of the Union address, Trump announced that employment was up and wages were up. The very following day, the stock market plummeted by 800 points. You know, all in one single day. Now, we've seen some very rocky performance in the stock market lately. You know, up and down by 500 points in a single day. And, well, like 1,500 points in one very recent week. I think it was last week that we saw 1,500 point drop in the stock market. So these are concerns that affect you. And other things that companies will do to keep that going is to increase prices, because they want to keep their profits to pay their investors. It's not to pay the workers. They're not willingly, increasing wages. They fight it every step of the way. The flow of wealth up to the top 0.1% has accelerated drastically in the past 10 years, or since 2008, 2009, it has been insane. But in the past 2 years, since the start of the pandemic, that was amplified tenfold. And the more money that you remove from the economy, when it goes to the wealthy, that money is removed from the economy. Then that results in inflation and stagnated wages and job layoffs, etc. So this is why you should be concerned about zombie corporations. And again, watch the video I made about ending the stock market, why we should do it, why it would stabilize the economy. It would force companies to focus on the performance of the company instead of the performance of the stock. And keep in mind that the major corporate executives in these companies are major shareholders in the company. So they're thinking about the value of their own stock rather than whether the company is healthy and doing well. All right, so share this video. Talk about these subjects. Please sign up at issuesunite.com. Social media with no corporate involvement, no government involvement, and your private information stays private. Issuesunite.com. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel and the website. And thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.